Welcome to Jesus and Stuff Podcast, Episode 3. I'm Kevin Anglin, student pastor at Central Baptist Church.
And I'm Ellis Coffey, children's pastor at Central Baptist Church.
And thank you for tuning back in this week. We're glad to be back with you. Episode 3. The haters said we wouldn't make it.
Trace.
But we made it, you know?
We're here.
I feel like that's like a fledgling early podcaster like thing to do, is just to make a big deal about making it to the next episode, you know?
Yeah.
But we did. We survived. We survived the corona apocalypse. We also made it to...
Maybe. Not
we'll
quite.
See.
Not yet.
Yeah.
TBD.
Yeah, we'll see. But we're thankful to have you here with us this week. Ellis, how's your week been going? How's life amidst all the craziness that we're experiencing right now?
It's been good. We've just been staying home, really. It's been kind of boring. Watching movies, hanging out outside, playing in mud puddles the last couple of days. So
listen, having a boy is fun because they love to get dirty, nasty, and jump in mud puddles. That's what we'll do. We don't have a ton of mud puddles in our yard, but when it rains a lot, we'll take our kids out here to the church trail because there's some really good spots, and just let them go ham out there.
Yeah.
And they love it. So just hunkering down, staying inside, watching some good MCU movies.
Watching some good MCU movies. That's about it, really. I mean, you know, I'm getting the PS4 ready to go into quarantine mode.
That's right. So. I'm sure that like Xbox and PlayStation and Steam have seen like huge jumps in their numbers over this time because just gamers, like, they're loving this.
Yeah, it's like this is their dream.
So you're telling me I have to stay inside? Yes. It's like government mandated gaming.
Yes. Know? If I didn't have any kids or anything, like, that'd probably be all that I did when I got
all
home.
The time. It's just
PS4.
Yeah.
What you been up to though?
Well, so both of our boys have April birthdays, and so my oldest son Judah, who just turned 9. He had his birthday this past weekend, and so it's kind of different, you know. It's normally we did birthday parties, especially at the beginning, having friends over, family over. We've kind of transitioned to like birthday trips and outings. Like last year, Judah and Micah and some of their friends, we all loaded them up into a van we rented and went to Launch Trampoline Park in Columbus. We went to Mellow Mushroom and got pizza, just kind of made a day of it. So that was our birthday celebration. Well, this year you can't do any of that stuff, and so it's really just hang out at home. We let them pick what they want to eat for dinner. Stephanie's making cakes and all that stuff. But and my mom and her mom's, the family comes over and gets to kind of see everybody, still trying to be as in quarantine as possible, but still celebrating their birthday. But it's tough. Like, April is like the month of shutdown, and that's when both of my kids have their birthdays. And so
that's tough. So
we're doing that. But also this past weekend, we had our Disciple Now weekend, but online. So we talked a little bit about how this pandemic has caused us as a staff to think differently about how we're doing ministry and ways to continue to minister amidst all this stuff. But so we actually had to think differently about Disciple Now this year, because normally Disciple Now weekend is big, large group sessions, which is illegal, right now. I mean, at least discouraged, not illegal. But it's big, large group sessions with worship and a speaker, and then they go to host homes, and so you're taking teenagers into the homes of some church members, and they feed them, and they hang out and do small groups there, and so all of that stuff is kind of undoable right now.
Yeah.
So we kind of pivoted and did online Disciple Now.
Digital Now.
Digital Now. That's right. It was Digital Now weekend. And so our speaker, Sky Pratt, he pre-recorded his messages, and we actually got up here in the youth room and pre-recorded some of our worship team, just leading in worship. And then we put that out for people and gave them small group questions, and even gave them a service project of helping serve Magnolia Manor, which is our assisted living home here in town. And so that was neat. It was a really good time. Like, I saw a lot of positive response, even looking at the views and the videos. People responded well to that.
It was a good product too. So.
Yeah, it was good. I think we did the best we could. We're all kind of learning how to use these new tools.
Yeah.
And so it's been stretching for all of us, but that was fun. It was cool just to see the reaction to that, to be a part of that weekend, even though we couldn't be together. Still to have one thing on our calendar that stayed,
Yeah.
It may be the only thing that stayed on our church calendar, but that one did,
Yeah, because it seems like it's more canceling than planning right now.
Gosh, that's all it is right now. I'm sending emails and making phone calls announcing the next cancellation as camps get canceled and trips get canceled. It's just it's kind of sad because normally at this point in time, like even before the pandemic, like I was looking towards summer, planning all of our summer activities. But now all of that planning is just kind of going straight down the tubes.
Yeah.
and so now we're sending phone calls and emails and saying, hey, it's not going to happen. But it causes us to rethink the summer even, to say, hey, how can we continue to minister to families as we're still in kind of these phases of quarantine as we continue to mitigate some of this coronavirus stuff. That's kind of, it's been good. I enjoy time with family, and things are going well, but still trying to strain and think hard and be creative about how to continue to do ministry.
And it's a different kind of creative. It's not It's not the same creative you're used to of like, well, let's think of a cool way to do something, and it's easy to do it because you can gather together. And it's a different kind of creative. You got to be like, well, we got to do it digitally. We got to do it online. We got to figure out how to use these things because for me, I've never went live before ever. Or recorded myself ever. So it's been totally different, but it's a good stretch though.
And there's no more terrifying sound than the sound of your own voice recorded.
I can't stand listening to it.
And so I edit down these podcasts, so I have to go back and listen to us, and I'm like, gosh, I'm like a redneck, a very redneck, But this week, Ellis, before we hop into our topic for the week, I want us to give some life advice. One of the things that I've encouraged our listeners to do is to reach out through our Gmail account, and it's JesusandStuffPod@gmail.com. That's JesusandStuffPod@gmail.com. You can send in any questions that you might have, ways that we can give you advice, and the response has been deafening silence. But
so we found our own questions.
We went on the internet, which is a scary, scary, terrible place, to Yahoo Answers, and found some people who did have some questions. Some people who felt like they were so desperate for advice that they would go to the internet, the worst place for advice,
and say, live questions.
Please help me. So Ellis, we're going to be the advice givers. Now, just a disclaimer, in all of this, we're just going to be joking, so probably don't take any of the life advice we give in this section. In the next section, we're going to talk about some serious topics. You can take that advice. But right here, we're going to look at some of the most ridiculous questions from Yahoo Answers and try to help these people. I don't think we have the medical credentials to psychologically help these people like they need it, but we're going to do our best, right?
Yeah. Hey, we're qualified.
For some of these questions, we are very qualified.
I'm definitely qualified for the first question.
So the first question is, it's actually not a question. It's like a statement that's a plea for help more so than anything else. It says, just ate 52 pizza rolls. Will I die in my sleep? Just ate 52 pizza rolls. Will I die? I like how he's not saying, I'm contemplating eating 52 pizza rolls. This guy's saying, I just did this.
This is pure quarantine mode for this guy, too.
This guy's living the quarantine
He's living
lifestyle.
that quarantine life.
Hey, let me ask you a really serious, important question, though, which he didn't give details. Which kind? What do you think he's like?
Totino's.
Yeah, of course, Totino's. Are there any other kind of pizza rolls? But is it combination? Is it just pepperoni or just the 5 cheese? What do you think?
Probably just pepperoni.
Okay.
Those are the go-tos. I feel like
Okay.
those are everybody's go-tos.
Yeah, I think that I like the combination. I like to spice things up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But he ate 52 pizza rolls. I think if you look on the back of the box, the serving size is probably 0. But this guy is eating 52. He's not asking it. He's saying, I just did this. And then the question is, will I die in my sleep? Ellis, your medical opinion, what do you feel like? How can we help this guy?
Well, speaking from personal experience, I have ate 12 corn dogs, which is probably the same as 52 pizza rolls.
12 a baker's dozen of corn dogs in one sitting.
In one sitting. It was amazing. I was full. I'll put it that way.
I bet you were.
And guess what? I went to sleep, and I did not die.
He did
Obviously.
So almost
not yet.
So do you think, per volume, the weight, the volume of 52 pizza rolls, how does that stack up against 12 corn dogs? Do you think that's about the same?
It's probably a little more pizza rolls than corn dogs. Because that's like one, if you ate one pizza roll a week, that'd be like a year's worth of pizza rolls that you just ate.
Yeah.
So it's probably a little bit more, but hey, some people, I had to tap out at 12 corn dogs, but that's probably a solid 35 pizza rolls.
Yeah.
So we're pushing it up
He's
there.
getting there.
Yeah.
This guy just ate a family-sized box of pizza rolls all by himself. He himself is a family.
This is the guy that you call.
Yeah.
When you have the competition, can you eat this burger and you get $1,000? This is the guy you call. You got one friend.
Like, no problem.
Phone a friend. This is
guy's
him. Look him up.
He is ready. And I do like the optimism in the question, will I die in my sleep? He's assuming he's going to sleep at all that night.
The better assumption is, am I going to get any sleep? Or am I going to be
You're probably going to die on your way to going to sleep, or you're not going to be able to sleep at all because of the groaning and the pain from eating that many pizza rolls. I'm not going to throw shade on pizza rolls. Pizza rolls are pretty awesome. But 52, man.
He probably ate all 52 for like $5 too. So.
Yeah, no problem. Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't think you're gonna sleep. I don't think you're gonna live. I don't think you should do this. I don't think you should eat 52 pizza rolls because I think it's just bad for your health.
Yeah, probably not the best.
Probably not the best. And so, Ellis, I own 2 cats, okay? I think we helped that person, right? Yeah, most definitely. He's been helped thoroughly.
You're not going to die,
if he's still alive, you know.
If you've ate 52 pizza rolls before, you're still going to keep it going, you know.
So okay, I know you don't. I don't want to dig too much into that question because I mean, that way lies madness. But do you think this guy, because he's asking this question on the internet, thinking he's going to get a response before he goes to sleep? So you think like he ate these at lunch, and then afterwards had the post meal regrets that we all know. You know, if you've eaten a little too much and you're like, oh, that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
But you know,
it's like every time I eat cookout.
But I'm not going to go throw up. I'm not going to go throw up because that's just a waste. So I have to go to the internet, and he goes, I hope somebody responds before I go to sleep tonight, so at least I know before I lay my head on my pillow whether or not I'm going to wake up in the morning.
All right. So here's what I picture when I hear this question: a guy laying on his couch, eating a box of pizza rolls. Well, in this case, he's already ate a whole box, probably multiple boxes. Because can you even get a box of 52 pizza rolls? That's like not even a family size. That's like, you know, the family get together. This is the family cookout.
He went to Sam's Club
box.
to get that.
He got the Sam's Club pizza roll box, and he's laid on his couch, like a big box on his chest, reaching for his phone, typing up this question. Possibly, he thinks, maybe the last question he ever types.
Oh man, I hope this guy's still alive. He's got a lot to live for. Yeah. Oh man. All right. So we helped that guy thoroughly. Let's look at our next question, which is, and you're actually well equipped to answer this because I'm a cat owner. We have 2 cats. You're a dog owner. You have your dog Chief, right?
Yeah, and a cat.
So you're a well-rounded individual. And so this question comes from the Yahoo Answer Service, and it says, should my dog learn to drive? Ellis, as a dog owner, should your dog learn to drive?
First of all, I want to say that dogs are extremely smart.
Yeah, intelligent.
They're the smartest animal, probably.
Smarter than dolphins?
Smarter than dolphins,
Smarter than chimpanzees?
Well, the smartest animal that lives in your house.
The smartest animal that lives in your house.
Including you.
That's true. Yeah, sometimes, really.
So, I would say if you were going to, I would not recommend you teach your dog how to drive. But if you were going to teach your dog how to drive, now would be the time because you got time.
That's right.
You got time to teach your dog how to drive.
Well, okay, so let's clarify though, Ellis. The question is not should I teach my dog to drive. Remember, should my dog learn to drive?
Should your dog
should
learn
my
to drive?
dog get off its lazy tookus and get out there and learn to drive?
Absolutely. Because what does your dog do most of the day?
Nothing.
It just sits there, it eats all your food.
Yep.
And then you got to go buy more food. Guess what? If you teach it to drive, it can go buy its own food. It can go to Cookout and get a hamburger if it wants to.
It could learn to drive an 18-wheeler and really bring in some money for the family.
That's right.
Finally start contributing.
That's right.
What has this dog done for us lately?
I've seen, start off small though, right? Teach your dog how to drive a bicycle. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those videos on the internet? There's dogs that can learn how to drive.
I've seen a bulldog that can ride a skateboard. Like, that's basically a car.
That's pretty much a car. So get a small car. Get like a smart car.
Actually, I'll say this. I can drive a car. I cannot ride a skateboard. Skateboard might be harder.
So there he is. That dog is qualified.
Can do that.
Yeah, he's very coordinated. So should your dog learn to drive? If this is a question of you're willing to put the time in to teach them and that you're confident that they can be on your insurance,
Yeah. What's dog insurance on your car look like?
Your insurance will probably
pricey.
spike.
Pricey. Yeah. A lot. Yeah.
But I'd say it'd be a valuable asset to your family.
So dogs have been subservient to humans for a while. I think we need to consider the question of what happens if a lot of dogs learn to drive. And there's some angry dogs out there. And what if they turn on us? What if they stop becoming man's best friend and become man's worst enemy? That's a movie I would watch.
Yeah, that would be.
Dogs learn to drive cars, and they're coming for us.
Yes.
You know?
I don't know what that would entail. Like, they just run us over?
I guess so, yeah. Run us over.
I mean, that would take the chasing the mailman down the street to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. They are the mailmen now.
Yeah. They deliver the mail.
Hey, imagine this, though. NASCAR, but with dogs.
That would be...
That's something I would tune in for.
I would definitely tune in.
It's like the Puppy Bowl, but like a lot better.
With higher stakes.
Yeah. But listen, PETA's going to get really, really angry whenever there's some wrecks.
That's right.
They're going to be upset about that.
Yes.
Got to have high safety standards for the dog drivers.
High safety standards. Dogs love bacon, so I don't know if PETA would be on board with supporting the dogs.
Oh, yeah. Dogs are carnivores. They would not like that. I don't know. It opens up a lot of cans of a lot of worms that we have to deal with as a society if dogs could drive.
It would be better, though. Like, you get chauffeured around all the time, you know?
See, you're looking at this from a standpoint that dogs are going to want to continue to do what we want them to do. But I feel like you give them the responsibility of driving, now, literally, they're in the driver's seat. Like, they're the ones in control now, you know? Hey, listen, they're faster than us most of the time, you know?
Dogs are already more powerful than us. Like, you know, if every dog turned on their owner now.
See, now we're getting into another question. If it came down to it, mano y mano, I know this is a hypothetical that you'd never want to actually have to live through, but mano y mano, you versus a crazed, rabid version of your dog, who's winning that fight? You think you got him?
No, heck no.
You don't think you could take him down?
No, man. If it was like a Chihuahua, maybe, but he's like a German Shepherd, so he's got me for sure. That's like the question of, would you rather fight a lion, a grizzly bear, or a hippo if you were stranded in the ocean with just your bare hands? I would. What would you take?
I would take a deep breath, scream, and then die. Like, I would just be done. Like, any of those. Like, no, like a hippo...
Hippo's actually the most dangerous
if you're in the water.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're in the water, like a hippo is the most dangerous. Lions can climb, so you can't even get in trees. What was the other option?
A grizzly bear.
The grizzly bears can climb too.
Grizzly bears can also, with one swipe. Also, the silverback gorilla. That was a huge debate.
No,
who would win in a fight between a grizzly bear and a silverback gorilla?
I would have watched that.
Yeah.
Talking about Floyd Mayweather, I'm going to watch grizzly bear versus
Pacquiao. Grizzly bear versus.
That's what I want to see.
Yes, but your dog should definitely learn to drive. So.
In other news, yes, your dog should be a self-starter. I don't want to teach my dog to drive, but if he wants to go out there and learn to drive,
they could go grocery shopping during the quarantine.
I think
you would never get corona.
Grubhub has a whole new group of workers they can just go and
talk about public safety.
But listen, if you have a Grubhub driver, an Uber driver who's a dog, he's definitely gonna dip it in them fries.
He's dipping, but you ain't gonna get the Rona though. So.
Right. If you get a burger with bacon on it.
Oh, it's over.
He's done. He's in there. He's in there. And so it's kind of a hard transition to talk about teaching your dog to drive, but now we're going to get serious, okay, if we can do that. But like I said earlier in kind of how life's going, talked about how we had our Digital Now weekend, and as we planned for this months in advance, the plan was to do it around missions, the idea of God's call on His church to be on mission. And so, of course, as this year has progressed, the only thing we're really thinking about is COVID-19, coronavirus, all of that stuff, and it's really affected even us as a church as to how we can be on mission. But the one thing we wrestled with, and I've been so thankful for our pastor Brian and his leadership, is that we're not giving up as a church on being on mission, because we feel like this is a call on us regardless of circumstances, regardless of even the recommendations of the CDC, of government restrictions. We're called to be on missions. Now, we have to be wise as to how we do it, and we've tried to be as a church and do it in different ways. And so that's what I want us to talk about today as we covered over the weekend with students and families about how to continue to be on mission, that we can discuss with our audience here today. How can we, Ellis, as Christians who are seeking to be faithful to Christ, if you're talking to parents of children or teenagers or even to teenagers themselves, how can we still be faithful to the call to be on mission amidst all of these quarantine mandates, all of these social distancing guidelines? How can we continue to be on mission?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it doesn't, being in quarantine, being in the lockdown or whatever, not wanting to go outside, doesn't negate the commands of Scripture to make disciples, to love your neighbor. And we just have to be more creative in some ways. Y'all had a little mission in D-Now for this weekend.
Because as I was thinking about, because one of the parts of big pillars of Disciple Now Weekend is a service project, a way that we can go out and serve the community. Because I think it's important not just to know a lot about Christ, but we got to put it into action. And so one of the heaviest hit groups in our area, of course, are the elderly, and specifically assisted living homes. And Magnolia Manor is a really big one here in our town. And I talked to some of the leadership there, some of the connections we have as a church with Magnolia Manor, just ask what are some options of how we can minister to them. And she said that there are just some people there at Magnolia Manor who are just very lonely, and they can't have visitors right now. Some of them are able to do like FaceTime with their families, which is a bit of a help, but there are some just have no outside contact with their family, with loved ones, with people who are in any way making contact and visiting with them. And so there's just a deep loneliness that they're experiencing there at those assisted living homes, especially Magnolia Manor. And so some of the options were to actually go by and visit them from the outside. So kind of go to the external window at their building and kind of look in and wave, put up signs, sing songs, pray for them, visit them, still with social distancing in mind. They're inside their room, we're on the outside of the building, just able to say hey and wave, let them know somebody cares and loves them. Another one was to write a letter to them. We have a lot of people that were willing to do that and wrote letters, just encouragement, putting scripture in there, letting them know that somebody loves them and is thinking about them. And so we're going to make sure that those get to the people who are most in need, the most lonely. And then the third one was actually to minister to the people working at Magnolia Manor. Because we could think about the residents that they have a great need, but also those who serve them. Because we make a big deal about the medical community in this time. You know, they are heroes. They're out there serving on the front line, putting their lives at risk. That is a huge deal. But there are also people working in these senior adult assisted living homes that are also doing the same thing. They're putting themselves at risk, and they know, and it's pressed to them that if one case gets in there and they're around a bunch of other folks, like it spreads really quickly and it can be very devastating in these homes, as we've seen in places like Washington, where there are certain assisted living homes that were just devastated by this because they just weren't prepared. Yeah. But these folks are taking extra precautions and just trying to show them a little bit extra love. And so sending a care package. We had a care package dropped off yesterday that's going to go to a worker there just to show, hey, we love you. Hey, we're thinking about you. We're praying for you. So we had to get creative.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the ways that we did it with Disciple Now Weekend. But you're right. It causes us to think differently about being on mission. And I love what you said earlier, because the call is to make disciples, right? And sometimes we think of being on mission as just going out there and spreading the gospel, and that's a big part of it. But that's only a part of it.
Yeah.
Making disciples is being evangelistic. It is sharing the gospel with people. And we're not prevented from doing that in this day and time. But it's also an ongoing relationship of discipling people closer and closer to the Lord. And so even in these times of quarantine, I think we can still be creative and still do those things and be faithful to the Lord, but also be safe and doing it in a loving manner that protects other people, even the most vulnerable.
Yeah. And I think, like, you know, for me, I'm not always the most creative when it comes like thinking of outside of the box things to do. But one thing that we can all be, if we're not blessed with the creativity of Kevin Anglin or...
I mean, come on.
I know that's hard. But we can all be thoughtful, right? Yeah. We can all be thoughtful. We all know older people in our neighborhoods. I know the demographic of this podcast is probably younger or, younger aged that are out and about in the community right now, who's going grocery shopping for their families or, playing outside, doing things that they can normally do. Just be thoughtful for the older community. They might need their trash taken out. Yeah. They may need groceries. They need help with yard work, their yard mowed.
Sure, yeah.
Anything like that would be a huge help for them. Or, sanitizing something for them if they do need to go out, or, anything like that could be a huge help. And just being thoughtful during these times. I mean, and that looks different for every person. And so, people that could have different needs, but it's just being thoughtful and looking and trying to see those needs instead of just riding by and getting in your house every day and doing your own thing.
That's one thing I've been super encouraged by, because even early on as a church, we reached out to our older population and said, hey, if you guys need someone to go do a grocery run for you, we want to do that for you.
Yeah.
And we were overwhelmed by the number of younger families who reached out and said, hey, let us do that. We want to help. We want to serve. We want to go out there and do for them so that they don't have to be out and about, to help protect them, but also serve them. So you're right. I think being creative is helpful, but also, yeah, you're right. Being thoughtful is the most important, because it takes us taking our eyes off of ourselves. And I think this is highly important right now for all of us if we want to be mission-minded, is that we have to take our eyes off of self. And in this time, it's easy to think about ourselves, to think about how this quarantine is affecting our life. It's affecting my family. Some of you may be seniors in high school, and it's really affecting your senior year. I mean, a lot of the lasts you will be experiencing right now, you're losing those. You may be highly affected by this, okay? And you could sit around and think about how bad you have it, the woe is me mentality, and truly that's a scary place to be, because the more we are internally focused, the more likely depression and sadness is to sink into our lives. It's when we insulate, it's when we think internally that we begin to be more at prey to those kind of thoughts. But God's calling us as a people in this moment to think of others, to look around us at the need, not just look at our own need, but look at the needs of others. And that's where that thoughtful mindset comes in, that we begin to consider, how can I serve others? How can I not waste this time I have, because we all have a little bit extra free time? How can I use this time to be on mission, to serve others, to maybe show the love of Christ, to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with others? And so even for many of you, you're probably like me. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I probably spent more time on social media than normal, okay?
For sure.
And many of you are probably the same way. You're probably on social media a lot more, whether it's TikTok or whether it's Instagram or whether it's Snapchat. But those are platforms, okay? And those platforms are an opportunity for you to be on mission. And I want you to see it that way. Not just be a consumer of some of that stuff, but I would even encourage you to post videos of yourself sharing a Bible verse that really spoke to you, maybe something you're learning in your quiet time, a word of encouragement to go out there, because there's so much negativity floating around right now, people complaining about how things aren't opening up quick enough, or how things are opening up too quick, or whatever. But just be a voice, a Christ-centered voice of positivity and hope out there, to just share the Word of God, to share the gospel in whatever platform you might have. And so think creatively. Think about how God can use you even on those platforms of doing a TikTok of you reading a scripture or something like that. And maybe only 5 people see it, but if 3 of those 5 people are encouraged or maybe even challenged to read their Bible more, I mean, that makes a difference, okay?
Yeah.
And so...
I mean, it's like... if you have a 70-year-old neighbor and you take them groceries, or you clean their yard one day, you may not be sharing the gospel with them. Like, you may not be explicitly stating the gospel to them if they're not Christians.
Yeah.
But you're making an entryway.
Yeah, certainly.
They're going to trust you, and they're going to be like, look at what this young young person did for me, during this time when I couldn't do it. And you're living the gospel.
Yeah.
So your actions are showing the gospel. And in those ways you can, that is a way of spreading the gospel. And in a way that God uses to further his kingdom is by us doing the works and loving our neighbor, in these times. And, I just think it's a good way for us, even on social media, using this time to spread real hope, not false hope, of funny videos, which are funny. I laugh at them too, but, spreading a real hope that can change lives, which is the gospel, which is, our only hope.
Yeah, because those things are just distractions.
Yeah.
Because it may be good to be distracted from some of the worries and cares, but those things are still there. Hope overrides those worries. This is something that's been really on my mind lately because I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with fear during this time. And it just reminds me of a conversation I had with my youngest son, Micah, who's really, he struggles with fear. And I just reminding him that God is bigger than anything he could be afraid of. Whether it's real, whether it's actual or imaginary, God is still greater. Yeah. He's greater than anything we could be afraid of. And so whenever we believe that and grasp that, then it doesn't eliminate our fears, but it overrides our fears. That's the kind of hope that supersedes our fears. It doesn't mean that the bad things aren't there anymore. No, the Bible leans into that and recognizes that evil exists, bad things are out there, but God is greater.
Yeah.
That the hope we have in Christ is greater. That worst case scenario, we get coronavirus and die, we go to be with Jesus. And Paul said, to be absent from the body is present with the Lord. Is it better for me to stay here and continue to do ministry or to go and be with Jesus? It's greater to be with him. So in the end, our hope is secure and founded in Christ who has secured our salvation.
Yeah.
And so it is a real hope. And even along the lines of what you were saying earlier about works of service and sharing the gospel, there may be a situation. I can think of you serving an elderly neighbor, or maybe even a younger neighbor who has just some underlying health conditions that don't need to be out right now. You serving them in this time. And then months down the road, when things are opened back up, them coming to you and saying, why would you do that for me? What would motivate a young person who has a lot of other things they could be doing right now? What would motivate you to come and cut my grass? What would motivate you to come and buy groceries for me? What would motivate you to do that? And your answer can be Jesus.
Yeah.
This Jesus who changed my life has given me a new focus, a new heart, and that hope that has changed me, it's also for you.
Yeah.
And so it really does open doors, and just want to challenge all of us to not use this time as an excuse to be internally focused, to be self-centered, and to waste a lot of time, but to be intentional with it, to use these days to make a difference in the social circles that you still have, whether it's sending encouraging text or emails or FaceTiming with people. If you know somebody struggling with loneliness and depression, you just lean into that relationship and love them, and always, always, always point them to Jesus. Because what you don't want to do is, in encouraging someone, build up a dependency on you. Our goal as Christians is never to make people see us as their hope, because that's a false hope, as Ellis was even saying earlier. The real hope is Christ. He's the only one who can bear the weight of all of our faith and all of our hope. And so we always are pointing them to Jesus. And so we don't use this time as just a time to check out of the mission, but to lean into it. Maybe be creative.
Yeah.
Maybe do things differently. I mean, because this has challenged all of us, because we all have to do things differently, whether it's encouraging the person at Walmart or the guy who's delivering your food, especially if that's Riley Veal. You tip him big and then give him some encouragement. And but those that God brings along your path, make sure that you're intentional to love and to show the kindness of Christ, but also, if God opens a door, share the gospel, even explicitly.
And not even with the elderly and immunocompromised,
mm-hmm.
but even to like our nurse friends, like they may not want to go to the grocery store because they're maybe compromised, like
or
because
they're
really
tired.
Or working with
yeah.
COVID-19 patients. They work long shifts battling these things. We could be a minister to them by serving them, by going and getting their groceries, by helping in their yard or doing anything like that. So it's not just for one set of people; it's for everybody during this time. Try to be a servant to everybody.
And I never even thought about that until you mentioned it. That like right now we have a lot more time with family and to just kind of chill, but that's not true for our healthcare providers.
Yeah.
They're not having a lot more time with their family right now. On the other hand, they're having probably less time, and when they are home, they're just wore out. And so, if you could,
they can't even see their family sometimes because they're
quarantined.
They don't want to mess their families up.
Yeah. And so if we can take an hour off of their plate just to go and do grocery shopping for them or serve them with an encouraging letter or something like that, just anything to brighten their day and to let them know that they're cared for, loved, and prayed for. I think that could go a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. So, but stay on mission and continue to seek the Lord in this time and ask Him prayerfully how He can use you during this time of quarantine.
Yeah, so we're going to navigate away from our local heroes and the real heroes to our fake imaginary heroes that we watch on TV.
Yeah.
And into our MCU tournament, round 1.
Can I just say, Ellis, that was a great transition. Like, very good. Very good transition.
Thank you. I thought about it for a good 30 minutes.
The whole time I was talking earlier, he was like, okay, this is going to be a good transition.
Yeah, I'm ready for this one, boy.
Great. Yeah.
So, we are in round 1 of our MCU tournament, and we're going to be posting a poll today of how you can vote for these different movies. Of course, these are the bottom 12. So these are what we consider the bottom 12. Every other movie that is not listed on this gets a bye this week. So the first 4 that we talked about last week, they get a bye, which is, I believe, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Endgame, and Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah,
so those get a bye, and every movie that you don't hear about once we talk about today also gets a bye, and then these will play them.
Ellis, can I say that those top 4, they're worthy.
They're very worthy.
They're worthy.
And I want a disclaimer. This was a difficult
this is hard
decision because there were some of these that we vouched for to be number 1 seeds, and they're in the bottom 12 today.
I know.
So, how the turntables.
How the turntables. That's right.
So in our first matchup of the 6 matchups we have for you today, we have everybody's favorite, Thor Dark World, matched up against Doctor Strange.
Now, Ellis, you have an unpopular opinion about Thor Dark World, right?
I do. After rewatching it for the second time, because the first time I was like, this is not that good, I'm not going to watch it again. Unlike Black Panther, which I've watched like 17 times. I watched Thor Dark World again, and I was like, you know what? This is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, compared even to other movies outside of the MCU, it would be better than most movies.
Compared to Star Wars Episode 1, this thing deserves an Oscar.
Absolutely. Any of Episode 1, 2, or 3. But
I don't know. We're going to have some listeners who, like, grew up on those prequels, and they're like, won't you be quiet? I love those movies. Yeah. And you're wrong. That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. But so we have Thor Dark World and Doctor Strange. So we're going to let you vote, and I'm just going to go ahead and vouch for Thor Dark World. You know where my vote's going here. So you can make your own decisions, but, that's you. So.
Yeah, and I really like Doctor Strange, but I still agree that it kind of belongs down here. This is going to be a tough matchup. I think we have several that are going to be kind of squeakers, right?
Yeah, and even so, Thor is like my favorite character. Mm-hmm. And I know it's a lot of other people's favorite character, even though his movies are not the best in the MCU. So it's a heavyweight character versus Doctor Strange, which is probably a better movie.
Well, I even mentioned last week that his character, changed.
It growed.
Yeah, it growed-ed. It really did. It really did growed-ed. And so, so it's interesting. These earlier movies, he's a little more serious, but of course, as the movies progressed, he just got more comical, and we love him more for it.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Fat Thor.
Fat Thor is the best. Chunky Thor. Thick Thor.
Thick Thor.
So in our matchup number 2 for the week, we have Captain Marvel and Iron Man 2.
Yes.
And just to jog your memories on Iron Man 2, I know they get confusing. It's the guy with the whips, with the electric whips, who jumps on the racetrack and splits race cars with his whips. And then he gets his own Iron Man suit with whips because he steals the design. But so it's Captain Marvel versus Iron Man 2.
What's that guy's name?
I don't know.
I can't remember the character's
his name. But he's Russian.
Definitely Russian.
He's definitely Russian. That was a crazy movie.
And if you don't remember, also Captain Marvel is the one where the woman is the best.
Yeah.
It's Captain Marvel. She's just like super powered. She's like just a female Superman, basically. And she destroys all things and never does anything bad and never actually gets hurt or whatever.
And it's the biggest plot twist that is not built up.
I know, not at all. Yeah.
Like the plot twist is crazy in that movie.
Yeah, that's probably like one of my favorite parts. I was like, I just left thinking like, wait, what?
Yeah, because the whole movie, you're like, these people are terrible. They're going to kill them all. They deserve it. And then boom, flip the switch. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
But I feel like they didn't build it up good enough.
Yeah.
Like they could have done a better job.
That's true.
This is a tight one for me though. I'm not going to try to persuade you on which one to choose, but it's a tight matchup this week.
Yeah.
And then we move to our third matchup of the week, which is Avengers: Age of Ultron, which we agreed was the worst of the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
The group Avengers movies versus the original Thor. So we have Avengers: Age of Ultron versus the original Thor. And in Age of Ultron, it's the one where they lift the city up. It plays a major part in setting up for other movies.
Yeah.
But movie-wise, it's not that great of a movie.
It's still kind of weak, yeah.
And Thor, the original one, is one of my favorite scenes is when he's in the coffee shop and he slams down the Waffle House cup and he's like, another! That's like one of my favorite scenes.
It's kind of a little foreshadowing
in Marvel.
of what Thor shall become.
Yeah. And so that's a pretty good matchup. And then fourth on the docket, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp and Spider-Man Far From Home. So
two sequels they were kind of underwhelming, like both still good movies, but not as good as the movies, in my opinion, that came before them.
Yes. Well, it's always hard to top the movies that come before, which was what makes some of the other movies so great, like Winter Soldier topped Captain America: The First Avenger. And then Civil War could be argued that it topped.
They got better.
Like in Thor, all the Thors progressively get better. Well, Ragnarok obviously is one of the best in the MCU. So it's hard to top it. But these are two sequels that are good. And Far From Home also has a big plot twist. But unless you know the MCU character, like if you didn't know who it was, then you would definitely get caught off guard. But if you did know, you kind of would see it coming.
That was the thing about Far From Home is the whole time, you know, like Mysterio is a bad guy. Like in all of the comic books, like he's just not a good dude. And so you know he's going to turn on you somehow. So you're just watching and trying to figure out how is he doing it. And then the big reveal is, oh, here's how he's doing it. Like you almost assume the whole time that he's a bad guy. But then, you know.
Yeah, it's a well done movie. So
I thought it was really good. I thought Ant-Man and the Wasp was really good as well. I mean, I just love the humor, the comedy of Ant-Man, and even the fact that the stuff that happens in Ant-Man and the Wasp like has huge ramifications for Endgame.
Oh, like it is one of the movies you have to watch to understand the entire MCU.
Oh yeah.
And so next of our last two matchups. First is Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man, and Guardians Volume 2.
You know, I really feel bad for Ant-Man because he's both of his movies are in this lower tier bracket. And so it feels like we're really like just hating on Ant-Man. But we're not. Like I really like both of those movies. Yeah. The first one was excellent.
Yeah. Ant-Man it was the one I went in saying this movie is going to be dumb.
Yeah.
And when I came out, I was like, this is one of the best ones I've watched.
It was, exact same reaction for me. Exact same.
So maybe the expectations were so low that they just shot it out there.
Sometimes that helps.
But Ant-Man, and it was funny, dude. Paul Rudd is hilarious.
He is great.
And he's got the best meme out there now.
Yeah, yes.
And Guardians Volume 2, not as good as the first one, again, which is always hard to do.
I know.
But it's not bad, though. I actually like it a lot.
All.
It's one of my favorite ones too. So.
Fantastic, yeah, great movie. That's the hard thing is like we're having to talk about these movies in a negative light to some degree because they're at the bottom. But that just shows the strength of all of the movies really as a whole. That these are the worst of in our opinion, the MCU movies. But these are all of them they're really good movies still.
Yeah.
Right?
It was easy to pick the bottom 5.
Yeah.
Once you got past the bottom 5, it was extremely difficult to pick the next.
Just imagine though, if Venom was a part of the MCU,
he would be the bottom.
The movie was terrible. My boy's sitting in a lobster tank, just going at them lobsters. Yeah, it was the weirdest movie. I still haven't forgiven Riley Veal for big ups on Riley Veal for just all up in our podcast today. Sorry, that's my fault. But like Riley Veal dragging us to see Venom, and I have many regrets.
Yeah, all the regrets. And finally, we have the last matchup of the day, which is Captain America: The First Avenger and Iron Man 3. And you know what? I think this goes without saying, but this is a pretty easy win.
This is an easy one.
This is an easy one for you guys. This should be easy. Yeah. Because in my opinion, Thor: Dark World is not the worst movie, but Iron Man 3 is.
It's very like it feels like it was created in some kind of just like business meeting where you know what people like is them Iron Man outfits.
Yes.
In this third movie, we got to have more Iron Man outfits.
And it is the worst villain.
Yeah.
This dude literally got shunned in an elevator by Iron Man 20 years before, and now he's out for revenge. It is the worst villain.
Your motivation is weak, bro.
Yeah, at least Thor: Dark World, they had some real motive to try to destroy.
That's right.
But
some long-term beef.
Yeah, but Iron Man 3, I will say the fight scene in the end is pretty dope.
Yeah.
Where he's jumping from suit to suit. That's pretty cool.
The action's cool.
The action is really good in that one. But Captain America: First Avenger, we debated not even putting it in this list.
It's hard.
This is the top seed of this list.
Yeah, really, in my heart it is. It's so good.
Yeah, so that's an easy one for you guys. So that is our MCU tournament first round. Yeah. Now, if your favorite movie didn't get mentioned, that is probably a good thing because these are the bottom movies. Mm-hmm. If your favorite movie did get mentioned, just go vote for it.
That's right.
You can move it on. Yeah. We're rooting for the underdogs here.
Yeah, this thing's just getting started. And so we will put a link to the brackets for your voting in the show notes and on Twitter. So if you want to, you could follow us on Instagram at Jesus and Stuff Pod. You can follow us on Twitter. We're there too. We're on Facebook. We're on all the socials, okay? And we'll make sure to post a link. We're very social. We'll post all those links on all those platforms. And so get your vote in because what you don't want to happen is your movie to lose because you didn't go in and chime in with your vote, okay?
Yeah. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. You're going to come and complain to us that your movie didn't win. And if you didn't vote, then I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So go out there. Your vote matters.
That's right. Yeah. So that is our MCU tournament round 1.
Round 1.
And so we had a good episode today, a very thorough episode. We talked about some tough questions.
Yeah.
We talked about how to be faithful and living on mission, which is a very important topic during this time, something that we all need to be thinking through. We also went through our round 1 of the tournament. So subscribe.
Yeah.
Leave a 5-star rating.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are important, even though we're probably not 5 stars. But just give us one anyway because, Kevin's a 5-star. So
hey, 5-star recruit over here in podcasting.
That's right. And so thank you guys for all of your support, for listening to our show. We couldn't do this without you guys.
Yeah.
And we love you guys.
Yeah. And so just once again, like Ellis said, thank you for supporting this. I hope that it's a help to you. I hope that it causes you to laugh a little bit, to think a little bit. But if you enjoy it, then share it. You can, when we tweet out the link or put it on Facebook, just share it out to people that you think might be interested in a podcast that really is having fun and talking about serious stuff as well from a Christ-centered perspective. And that's what we want this to be, a resource for students and for families as we navigate these times. And so we just want to, again, thank you for listening to all the other episodes. If you haven't, go back and check out the earlier ones. They're getting better. I feel like at least audio quality, we're trying to figure out our format. We're getting better at some of that stuff. But just thank you for your continued support and keep it up. Drop that 5-star, and we look forward to gathering back with you again next week for another episode of Jesus and Stuff Podcast. I'm Kevin Anglin.
Ellis Coffee.
And we're out.
Mamba out.